You didn't decide to check your phone just now. Someone else decided that, months ago, in a meeting room you'll never see, and they got exactly what they wanted. That's not an opinion. That's the business model. Meet Priya, 34 years old, product manager, the kind of person who has already tried everything you're thinking of trying. Focus timer, website blocker, strict morning routine, no phone for the first hour. She read the books. She built the system. She's more deliberate about her time than almost anyone you know. And by 10 a.m., she's reread the same paragraph 4 times and understood none of it. By 2 p.m., she's technically been working for 6 hours and has almost nothing real to show for it. She goes to bed every night with a specific kind of exhaustion, not the kind where you've used your brain fully, the kind where you've used it badly, scattered, fragmented, like someone kept tapping her shoulder every 47 seconds all day. She thinks she's the problem. She's not. But we'll get back to her. Now meet Andrew. Andrew went the opposite direction. He deleted everything. Instagram, Twitter, gone. Got a dumb phone for 2 weeks, full monk mode. Announced it on LinkedIn. And when he came back, he expected to feel sharp, clear, like himself again. He didn't. Same fog, same inability to hold a single thought for longer than a minute. Same compulsion to check something, anything, even though there was nothing to check. 2 people, opposite choices, same result. That's not a coincidence. That's a diagnosis. The problem isn't the apps. It isn't even the phone. It goes deeper than that, and it operates below the level where willpower can reach it. There are layers to this, 5 of them, and they escalate, each one more damaging than the last. The final one is the reason Priya's system didn't save her. The reason Andrew's detox didn't stick. Let's go through them, one by one. Layer 1. The switch tax. The average knowledge worker switches between apps and websites 200 times a day, 1,200 times. That's one switch every 24 seconds. And every single one costs something cognitive, something that doesn't come back immediately. And most people have no idea this is happening. A researcher named Sophie Leroy discovered what she called attention residue. When you move from one task to another before the first one is finished, your brain doesn't cleanly transition. A fragment of it stays behind, still tangled in the logic of what you were doing. And when you come back, you don't come back whole. You come back dragging residue. Your brain doesn't switch channels. It loads contexts, like a computer with almost no RAM. And every load costs time. Every incomplete unload costs clarity. Toggling between 2 apps and back, not a big interruption, just toggling, costs an average of 9.5 minutes of reorientation. Every time. If a real interruption pulls you out of deep concentration, the average time to fully regain it is 23 minutes and 15 seconds. 23 minutes. Every single time. If you're being interrupted every 2 minutes, and most people are, you are never mathematically reaching the depth you need. You're not working. You're perpetually recovering from the last interruption while the next one is already loading. The total cost across a standard workday, 40% of your productive capacity. Not 10, not 15, 40. 3 hours and 12 minutes of every 8-hour day, extracted not because you were lazy, but because the environment you're working in was built to take it. $450 billion per year. That's what focus leaks cost the U.S. economy. Not from fraud, not from system failures, from 1-200 switches per worker per day. That's the first layer. But you haven't seen the one below it yet. Layer 2. The whiteboard that keeps getting erased. Your working memory is the mental whiteboard where real thinking happens, where you hold the pieces of a problem while you work through it. And this whiteboard is small. It holds roughly 3 to 5 pieces of information at once. That's the biological ceiling. When you're doing something that actually matters, writing, building, analyzing, you're filling that whiteboard with the pieces of the problem. Context, logic, the thread. Every notification, every quick check, every open tab dumps something onto the whiteboard that doesn't belong there. And when it overflows, the pieces you were actually using fall off. The idea you were building, gone, not paused, gone. Interruptions as short as 5 seconds spike error rates by a factor of 3. 5 seconds. Less time than it takes to read a notification without even responding to it. The damage is already done before you look up. The brain fog after a day of fragmented work isn't exhaustion from doing too much. It's the metabolic cost of constant loading and unloading. Your brain spent its energy on cognitive overhead instead of actual output. You were exhausted by the management of distraction, not by work itself. Busy, completely busy, producing almost nothing. That's layer 2. But the third one is the one that breaks people when they hear it. Layer 3. The object in the room. Your phone is on your desk. It's off, it's face down. You're not touching it. It is still costing you. Researcher Adrian Ward at the University of Texas ran a study with nearly 800 participants. He measured cognitive performance, working memory, fluid intelligence under 3 conditions: phone on the desk, phone in a bag, phone in another room. The results were linear and brutal. People with their phones in another room significantly outperformed everyone else. And it didn't matter if the phone was off. Didn't matter if it was face down. The impairment remained either way. Because your brain knows the phone is there. It knows that device contains messages, updates, things that might need a response. And it is spending real cognitive resources, right now, constantly, to suppress the impulse to check it. That suppression isn't free. It pulls from the same limited pool that your actual thinking needs. The phone doesn't have to be on. It just has to exist in the room. You're paying the tax either way. Every person who put it on silent and left it on their desk. Every person who turned it face down, still paying. Full price. This layer has only one solution, and it's not discipline. It's distance. Physical, literal, inconvenient distance. But even that doesn't stop the deepest layer. Layer 4. The rewiring. Between 80 and 90% of smartphone users have felt their phone vibrate when it wasn't vibrating. You felt it. That phantom pulse in your pocket. You reach for it. Nothing. Nobody texted. It was never buzzing. This has a name. Phantom vibration syndrome. And it's not paranoia. It's not anxiety. It's what years of carrying a notification device has done to your nervous system at the hardware level. When you carry your phone in the same spot every day, the somatosensory cortex, the region of your brain that processes physical sensation, becomes hypersensitive to that area of your body. It develops what researchers call a vibration detection template. Muscle twitches, fabric shifting, background noise at the right frequency. All of it gets flagged as a potential notification. All of it pulls your attention. Your phone isn't even present, and your body is still listening for it. This isn't habit. Habits can be broken. This is structural reorganization of your sensory processing, built slowly, over years, by a device you carried in the same pocket every single day. Andrew deleted the apps. He left the habits. He left the rewiring. He came back to the same architecture that built the pattern in the first place. That's why the detox didn't work. The body was still on alert. The room you never see 4 layers, the switch tax, the whiteboard overflow, the proximity drain, the nervous system rewiring. Now the question nobody asks, why does all of this exist? Because it's profitable. In 2018, Facebook launched what it called the Meaningful Social Interaction Initiative. The stated goal was better time on the platform, more real connection, less passive scrolling. Internal documents, surfaced later by whistleblower Frances Haugen in what became known as the Facebook Files, told a different story. The algorithm, in practice, prioritized content that generated the most reactions. And what generates reactions? High arousal content, outrage, urgency, divisiveness, fear. Not because anyone at the top made an explicitly evil decision, because that content kept people on the platform longer, and that's the metric. The internal research showed what this was doing. To discourse, to teen mental health. Executives, according to whistleblower testimony, set most of that research aside, because engagement was up. Here's the architecture underneath all of it. Variable reward schedules, borrowed directly from behavioral psychology. The same mechanism that makes slot machines work. Not knowing whether a check will yield something interesting or nothing creates a stronger compulsive response than if every check always paid off. The dopamine hit lives in the anticipation, not the result. Infinite scroll removed the natural stopping point. Every book ends. Every episode ends. The feed never does. That wasn't an accident. The stopping rule was deleted. Red notification badges trigger loss aversion, the brain's acute sensitivity to missing something. One notification dot is enough to break a 45-minute focus session, and the platform knows when you're vulnerable, when you just finished a task, when you're in a low-stimulation moment, when you've been away long enough to re-engage. It fires precisely then. They're not waiting for you to come back. They're calibrating to the exact moment you're most likely to. Your attention isn't just a resource to them, it's the inventory. You're not the customer. You are what's being sold. Priya's focus timer was never going to beat this. Andrew's 2 weeks of monk mode was never going to beat this. Individual discipline is not a match for a system designed at scale, with billions of dollars of behavioral research behind it to override individual discipline. That's not pessimism. That's just an accurate read of the situation, and accurate reads are where real solutions start. How you stop the leak, not motivation, not willpower, architecture. First, distance is the only phone solution that works. The research is unambiguous. Another room, full stop. Not silent, not face down. Another room. Make it physically inconvenient to reach it during any block of work that actually matters. Inconvenience is the point. Second, batch your checks. You pay the switch tax every single time you toggle. The way to reduce the total cost isn't to be stronger in the moment. It's to reduce the number of moments. 3 scheduled windows to check messages and email. Not because you're ignoring the world, because you're choosing when to engage with it instead of letting it choose for you. That's not a small thing. That's the whole game. Third, protect the 23 minutes after an interruption. When a real break in concentration happens, and it will, don't immediately compound it with another one. You need at minimum 23 uninterrupted minutes to get back to real depth. If you can't guarantee that block, you're not re-entering focused work. You're extending the recovery. Recognize the difference and plan around it. Fourth, audit what's visible. Every device, every screen, every notification light in your physical environment is a small cognitive magnet. What's on your desk matters. What's visible from where you sit matters. Clean environments aren't aesthetic preference. They're cognitive infrastructure. And fifth, the one that nobody includes because it's uncomfortable. Rebuild your tolerance for doing nothing. After months of constant context switching, boredom becomes genuinely unbearable. The moment stimulation stops, your brain reaches for something. That's not weakness. That's a trained response. And it has to be untrained slowly. Sitting with a problem without Googling it. Reading something that doesn't scroll. 10 minutes with no input. Not punishment, calibration. Because until that tolerance is back, every moment of stillness becomes a trigger. The leaks don't close overnight, but they do close. Back to Priya. She didn't need more discipline. She needed to understand the scale of what she was fighting. Her focus timer was a bucket catching water from a tap while the floor had 40 holes in it. Her attention isn't broken. It's been under systemic engineered extraction for years, through mechanisms operating below the threshold of her awareness, designed by people whose job was specifically to make sure she never noticed. 1-200 switches per day, 40% of her productive capacity, a temporary cognitive drop equivalent to losing a full night of sleep, caused not by tiredness, but by sustained interruption. A nervous system rewired to listen for a device even when the device isn't there. These aren't metaphors. These are measurements. You came into this video with some version of the question, why can't I focus? And you probably had a guess, maybe that you were lazy or undisciplined, or that your brain just didn't work the way other people's did. Here's the actual answer. Your focus is a finite resource, and there is an entire industry, worth hundreds of billions of dollars, employing some of the best behavioral engineers alive, built to extract it from you without you noticing. The first step to getting it back isn't trying harder. It's understanding, with precision, what you're actually up against. Now you do.